Hey guys, how you doing? Happy National Diabetes Week. So yeah, random thing. Warning, soapbox speech coming. Incoming here. So cool story. So July 8th to 14 is in Australia National Diabetes Awareness Week. I know there's something similar in the US and the UK. I don't know what the dates are though, so sorry about that. But yeah, so in Australia this is it. Funny enough, I didn't really even know about it until it came up on the news on the. I just had to like it was literally done as an aside, as like the sort of like the Sunday late breakfast news. Anyway, and it got me thinking about it. And this year's theme is it's about time, and it makes some really good points, and stuff that I wasn't aware of either. Like it's like the number of people who are misdiagnosed as type 1 or type 2 or just not diagnosed at all, um, and that's disturbing. Like for me, I know that with my diagnosis, which happened, when I was teenager, it was my 13th birthday. It was a couple of weeks before my 13th birthday. Um, I was diagnosed, and I was literally sort of hours away from being a slap on the walk. It was I didn't realize it at the time, but how close to not being here I was. It wasn't until later, as I sort of understood what diabetes actually is, that it kind of set in and went, holy crap, that was scary. My blood sugars were so high that they didn't actually register on a glucometer. They had to get the number off the blood tests, and can't remember what it was, but it was astronomically high. It was insane. Um, yeah, and I was apparently I was about 48 hours away from being a slab on the morgue, for my organs were just about ready to start shutting down. I was that far down the rabbit hole. So yeah, that was rather scary. That then led to a many years of um, struggling with diabetes and the mentality behind it as a type 1. Um, but it's also exposed something, and this is possibly going to sound, I don't know, I don't want to use the phrase elitist, but I'm guessing it's kind of going to fall a little bit into that category. But I tell you what, I am so sick of diabetes being everybody thinking of it as type 2. I really think that what we need to have, not just a diabetes awareness week, we need to have the diabetes definitions of what diabetes is changed. Because type 1 and type 2 are beyond different. Like the only thing that they share in relative common is the fact that your body has trouble producing insulin. The root cause is completely different, and it's really frustrating, and really annoying and really gut wrenching, especially when you're growing up and you're trying to come to grips with it, as a type 1. That you see all this stuff about miracle cure for diabetes, or diabetes, you just need to eat right and do this and you're fine, you'll be cured. Yeah, that's type 2. That ain't type 1. Type 1 is genetic, kids. We don't have a choice. It is, our bodies are coded to self-destruct. It's really not cool. And whereas type 2, for the vast majority, is it's choice. Sorry, but it is. It's straight up. It's, you chose that life. What's really disturbing and sad is the fact that the amount of type 2 diabetes is coming now into the people like under the age of 20, like under the age of 25. That's disturbing. The stats that are coming out of the US, and Australia of that is really terrifying. But anyway, but yeah, it's just fundamentally something needs to change. But either way, though, so many things. The ironic thing is, though, is that as much as I've just said and ranted about that, things that really help in management of whether you're a type 1 or a type 2 are diet and exercise. They really are. And for me, my type 1 was not well managed. For a really long time, my type 1 diabetes was not well managed. I bounced all over the shop. My numbers were all over the place. I was not doing well. There's a condition called diabetes bulimia that type 1s are susceptible to, particularly type 1 youth. Because here, cool story, when you're a type 1, usually before you're first diagnosed, you will generally lose a lot of weight. Like, you will get stupidly thin and skinny. And all you do is eat, and you can't keep it, because you can't keep the weight, or you keep losing weight because your body's literally eating itself. That's what it is doing. So it's not taking any nutrients or anything from the food you're putting in, and just burning whatever it can. So yeah, it's you can eat whatever you want and you lose weight. So cool story. If you stop taking your insulin as a type 1, same thing happens. You can eat what you want, don't take your insulin, you get sick, but you lose a lot of weight really fast. It's also incredibly dangerous. It will put you flat on your back in hospital, possibly on your back on a slab and walk. But it's a very real condition, and it is something that I struggled with for a long time, and just generally just didn't manage my diabetes very well at all. Now, through various changes in whatever in my life, I've now, got myself to a far better position. My HbA1c number was 7 flat, which my endocrinologist was absolutely over the moon about. She was like so excited because she had never seen that number from me before, and it's been that number now for 9 months. And she's absolutely excited. I think it was 7 flat, 7.1. So 7.1, 7 flat. She's absolutely over the moon. She's loving it. So she's loving it, and it's, my life is better because I'm eating better, I'm exercising and stuff like that. So in a way, it is important that, because whether you're type 1 or type 2, and type 2, you simply eat better, exercise more. Your body will literally heal itself. Like, it will improve its ability to be able to produce and handle insulin. So in that regard, some of the underlying messages that are given out are very, very similar and very useful. But also at the same time, it works for everybody, even if you're not a diabetic. Eat healthy food, go out and exercise, go out for a walk the dog. Just go for a walk around the block. It's amazing how much small changes will make a big difference in a long time. So yes, as I said, a bit of a rant incoming today, because it's just really frustrating. And then looking at all the material about it, and this is, as I said, this was triggered by the fact that when they did this news piece on the news, where they said National Diabetes Week, they went, so they literally went, everything in that was about, diabetes is, type 1 and type 2, but then everything that happened for the next 10 minutes of the actual news piece was all about type 2 diabetics. Nothing about type 1s at all. And everything that was said was generically saying diabetes, diabetics. And it was all talking about type 2s. And as a type 1, that's really frustrating, lumping us all together. Like, we have got two radically different conditions with radically different treatments. And the fact is that you can't cure type 1. You can't. Now, also, I recognise that, there's also the fact that, type 1 has evolved, or not evolved, evolved? I don't know. But, type 1 is something that is, although it used to be considered just only happen to youth, it doesn't. It does happen to people as they get older. Theresa May, the British Prime Minister, she was diagnosed as a type 1 in her late 40s, early 50s, she was diagnosed. So, it happens to people as they get older as well. So it's not just a disease of youth, but it's just commonly done there. So that's why it is really important to think about the testing for diabetes, and make sure that you do get yourself screened, you do get yourself tested regularly, because going untreated, you will die, particularly as a type 1. There's no coming back from that. Type 2, you can live decades with it undiagnosed, but type 1, you live a few weeks, few months, and you're toast. So really big message there. So there's there are 4 things to be aware of. There is thirst. Hang on. There's a cool little They got a cool little thing about this. Let me just pull it up. I'll put a link in the description down below as well for this one, because I think it's pretty cool. Where are we? So the 4 early signs of type 1 to look for is toilet, tired, thirsty, and thinner. Basically, it's you're peeing a lot, you're always tired, you're always run down, you just got no energy, you're always thirsty, and you're losing weight. As I said, it's the toilet and thirsty one are interesting because they sort of seem like a yes, it's obviously one, but you are literally weeing away your body. The tired and energy thing, people sort of say, oh, but you're working too hard or whatever. But it's like, it's water that, and the thinner one. That's usually the big one, and it's also the one that really messes with your head as a diabetic, as a long term as well. As I said, particularly for diabetes bulimia. So just be careful of that. So just be aware. Anyway. So yeah, it's important information and important things to be aware of, and for everybody else, cut back on the sugary food. Like, there is great advances, that means that, we can have whatever we want and stuff like that. But there is the whole thing of in moderation is there for a reason. If you don't have, a full, block of chocolate, just have one square or something. It's about moderation. It's about, self-control. It's about portion control, and it's just about energy in versus energy out. It sounds horribly simplistic, but it's math. That's one of the cool, interesting things about nutrition and science. Is the science behind it is that it's calories in, calories out. The math works, kids. The math works. So anyway, as I said, a bit of a rant today, but yes, so I'm going to put some links in the description down below about National Diabetes Week in Australia. It is very interesting. Please have a look over it. Please have a read over it. And just be cautious when people refer to diabetes, and ask them, are they type 1 or type 2? And don't be like some people that I've met and things have happened to friends of mine where people assume one over the other, particularly when kids are involved, and the kids have been diagnosed as type 1, and other parents call that's kids' parents like bad parents and evil people for causing their diabetes because they don't understand, and they choose not to understand that there's a difference between type 1 and type 2. Type 1, you don't have a choice. It's genetic. You're born with it. It's just when it activates is different for everyone. So anyway, folks, thanks very much for joining the one. Otherwise, I've been crazy busy with work and stuff. Lots of stuff happening on. Yeah, there you go. Alright, we'll talk soon. Bye, guys.